Think of some of the richest and most powerful people in the world. Why do they need Instagram profiles? Human beings have imagination, and we can imagine a world without us. And we realize the world without us functions perfectly fine.
Right.
Why do we break rules is important more than following rules. Why are rules there in the first place? Ask yourself, Lakshman Rekha is for Ravan or for Sita?
For Sita.
Think again. Stories, all these stories, whether it's Ramayana and Mahabharata, they're not entertainment. They are gossip sessions. They help you gossip about the gods, about demons. Here we are talking about Ram Rajya. But this same society which seems to worship Ram looks down on Vibhishan because he goes to Ram and rejects Ravan. They'll say, no, you're disloyal. Every person today who talks about Ram Rajya is also the person who abuses Vibhishan.
Hello everyone, my name is Jagriti Chaudhary and I welcome you to season 2 of Unmasked by Skin Yoga. What can 5,000-year-old stories teach us about modern businesses, relationships and survival? Today we have with us Mr. Devdutt Pattanaik, who is a master storyteller and a renowned mythologist, who has given a new perspective to our ancient scriptures. With his stories, he's aimed to redefine our past so that we can live a more fulfilled future. Mr. Pattanaik, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for calling me.
So let's begin with understanding what do you write and why do you write what you write?
So I write on mythology. These are stories, ancient stories from all over the world. I write about all mythologies, but people know me for my Indian mythology because I think Indians are the biggest audience for me. But I compare and contrast with all mythologies. And mythologies are a way of understanding how human beings think. So if you want to understand how India thinks, you read Indian stories. If you want to understand how the West thinks, you read Western stories. So mythology tells you how people have been thinking and how thinking patterns have changed over generations. So that's what I do.
Interesting. And how did you start writing about this topic?
So I've been now, this will be 30 years of writing. Okay. So it's just a hobby, which I didn't realize had become more than a hobby. I would see people write on mythology, but most of them were from Europe and America analyzing. Indians would only tell the story. We would not analyze it.
Yeah.
Whether it's Amar Chitra Katha or any of the Indian stories, they're not analytical.
Right.
But when you start analyzing and you start decoding these stories, they contain a lot of ideas. And they help us understand our mind, how we think, our insecurities, our complexes, everything comes out. And I think that is the magic of these stories, which I'm surprised that nobody's goes deeper into it. But then I do it. And so that's what keeps me going, because I'm shocked at how little Indians are aware of very deep stories, which tell you a lot about life.
Absolutely. In a world obsessed with data and objective facts, you often say mythology is subjective truth.
Yes.
Why is that we humans, we still look at stories of gods and ancient demons to make sense of our world in 2026?
When you write something, write poetry, for example, if you want to explain everything, why would you need poetry? Because there's something that prose cannot communicate. Why would you create art for painting? You are in luxury brands. You know how brands talk. They don't talk with words. It's a color. It's a smell. It could be you walk into someone's house, you see the furniture. So these are things which cannot be captured by data because they're not mathematical. They're emotional. And these things are captured using words like, I don't think anybody, Hindus worship an elephant-headed god. If you tell a child that there's an actual elephant-headed creature, no, this is a method of communicating a concept. When you show an image of Lakshmi sitting on a lotus flower, it doesn't mean that Lakshmi is actually sitting on a lotus flower. Because unless you are like anorexic and you have like 1 kg weight, you can sit on a lotus flower. But yet we are worshipping this. So these are metaphors, symbols, trying to communicate complex ideas in one look. Just by one look, you can understand it. And that's why gods, demons, I don't think anybody believes Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. But why would you tell a story like that? Why do you insist on saying that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin? Okay. Or the Prophet Muhammad traveled to heaven on a flying steed? Do you need those stories? You need those stories.
Okay.
They give you, they serve a purpose.
Okay.
And if you find those purpose and try to understand those purpose, they help us understand life.
Wow. I have always believed that goddess Lakshmi sat on a lotus in the time that she was actually on earth or whatever. I don't even know. But when you say that, no, it's just an image and that is not the truth, is it really so?
I didn't say it is not the truth.
Okay.
I didn't use the word truth at all. I used the word metaphor. When you tell someone that you are born with a silver spoon, does it mean they came out of their mother's womb with a silver spoon sticking out of it? No. Right? When you said you're a green-eyed monster, does it mean that they have a green eyes? So, oh, you are the devil. Does it mean they have a horn? So, we use language to communicate ideas which are not literal, because the human world and human experience is not literal.
Yeah.
There is no mathematics to duty, or there's no mathematics to luxury or status or privilege. This, we try to explain everything mathematically, which is what the tech bros, as we call them, they do. But you see, you ask a tech bro, explain jealousy to me.
Yeah.
Tell me what is jealousy.
Yeah.
Show me a software that measures it, regulates it, calculates it. Can't do that. They can't show me a app. Everybody in the world wants this magic potion that will make people fall in love with you. No app does that.
Right.
So you don't have an app. An app can measure whether you're gaining weight or losing weight or having muscle mass. Show me an app that shows that how much does my husband love me, the love meter index, 6 o'clock, how much he loves me, 7 o'clock, how much, let's have a trending pattern of love. You never have that because that's not measurable.
Right.
And is that important? Is it important to know that if people care for you, love you, is there jealousy in your life? So these parts we don't discuss. We are cleverly not discussing things that really matter, which cannot be measured.
Absolutely.
And that's there in stories. So, if you don't have stories, we tell stories to ourselves that I'm an important person.
Yeah.
No, in nature, nobody's important. We are just animals. But the fact that we tell ourselves that we are important, that when I come out, somebody has to give me a salam, or somebody has to look at me, or my friend has to acknowledge me. I walked into the office and nobody in my office, greeted me. I feel, or on my birthday, nobody sent me a single gift or a greeting. I feel useless, right? But it doesn't make logical sense. You say, hey, database, trending pattern. Solve it. You want people to attention. Why do think of some of the richest and most powerful people in the world? Why do they need Instagram profiles? Because they don't feel validated with their wealth and all the wealth, all the power. They want that like to come.
Yeah, like to touch upon this, in your book, The Flower of India, Siddharth lives a life absolutely full of comfort and truth. Many people today, we have palace problems. We have everything. We have a good career and a good life, but still we are not content. Do you think Siddharth's way of leaving comfort is a message to us?
Think about Siddhartha Gautama. How does his luxury come into being? There are thousands and thousands of people working for him who made his life comfortable. He had absolutely no empathy for them.
Yeah.
He never thought of the person who cooked food for him, who didn't think of who made the bed for him. He didn't think of his wife. He didn't think of it was all about him. In the end, also, it's self-realization, self-actual. It's all me, 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 me. I want to be liberated. I want to be this.
Yeah.
So and modern spirituality is like that. It's all about you. It's not about people around you. And we have been told these are saints and all that. But if you think of it from the lens of responsibility and accountability, we are all responsible for people, And if you're not responsible for people, you can't say, I'm only responsible for myself. In nature, no plant is responsible only for itself.
Wow.
A plant produces fruits, flowers, there are insects, there are so many birds which take shelter in it, there's so many animals that need shelter. A single plant is part of an ecosystem. We are also part of an ecosystem. So when, the lotus flower is part of an ecosystem, right? There is bees, there are butterflies, there is nectar, there is so much of work going on. And I think when we read stories like the Buddha and we tell children stories like that, the child is listening to the story and saying, oh, so getting married is not the truth. Having children is not the truth, because we valorize it, we glamorize it.
Yeah.
He became the Buddha and we worship him all over. They're not thinking about it. We're not asking the question, why was he so unhappy with so much of pleasure and love and power that he got? And obviously, because his parents did not tell him that life is complicated. He didn't see disease. He didn't see death. The parents thought they were protecting the child. What they did is made him oversensitive and traumatized.
Wow.
So the first time the child saw poverty, the first time the child saw disease, first time the child saw old age, he got so traumatized, he ran away from home.
Okay.
So this is what is many parents today do that to their children. They protect. I remember this one film producer I know, and he said, I want my daughter to not have a single problem in the world. I said, you're the most evil father on earth because you're not giving the child a taste of reality. Because you don't know what's going to happen in your life. But anything can go wrong. When Sita got married in the Ramayana, she didn't know her husband is going to be thrown into exile. So you don't know what the future holds for you. Or, right now Trump is bombing the world and everybody's bombing each other.
Yeah.
Today we have, partition happened. Rich people became poor overnight. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think if you don't prepare our children, and that's the purpose of storytelling, original storytelling would prepare children for the terrible things in life. Like look at Red Riding Hood. You tell the child that be careful when you're going out, wearing this red dress, you're going into the forest.
Yeah.
There are wolves out there. But now Disney will turn everything into a garden and everything's pretty and everything's beautiful. You're deluding the children. You're creating Siddharthas who will run away from home. Because one day they'll be traumatized and they go into drugs. I mean, we may not have to go to the forest, but somebody takes drugs, somebody takes all kinds of crazy things happening in society today. This is the reason, because we do not prep our children and ourselves that life is complicated and there are good things. You're lucky if you have got a privileged life, but you should be thankful that you've got this and hopefully maintain it.
Yeah.
But even if then things don't work out for you, how do you manage it? You need to prepare yourself, you'll be resilient.
So Siddhartha left his family also, as you said, and his newborn, in search of enlightenment for himself. Today, 30-something women, even if she takes an hour off for herself, the guilt kicks in. So how do we make sure that we fulfill our responsibilities, but at the same time, have time for us?
See, in the epics, there are characters known as Apsaras. And the Apsaras will produce a baby, they leave the child in the forest floor and they run away.
Oh.
Because their job is not to take care of children. So we have in our mythologies characters, the nymphs, who don't take care of their children. They say, they are lovers of pleasure and beauty and they enchant people, and then they produce a baby and they just throw the story baby in the ground and run away. And all the rishis are born of these reunions. All our rishis are produced by such unions. So they're trying to tell you something that, a mother is not obliged to take care of a child. So our scriptures talk about it. Of course, nowadays nobody tells these stories. We are frightened to tell girls that there are such stories because we don't want our daughters to learn that, you don't carry there are, in the stories, sometimes the father takes care of the child, sometimes even the father runs away.
Right.
And then the king is walking in the forest and he sees a baby abandoned on the forest floor and he raises the child. Why are they telling stories of abandoned children? They're saying that there are people in this world who's either the parents died or didn't take care of them or abandoned. It's about adoption. It's about loving. It's about not blood relations. It's complex storytelling is happening over there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I find them very exciting. I always say Apsara is the original career girl. She's her life, her pleasure. And nobody tells her she's a bad person.
Yeah.
The Apsaras are the damsels who live in heaven. They have glamorous lives. And then one day they discover, oh, my child has grown up.
Yeah.
So, and stories of Apsaras are there across folklore.
Yeah.
Nymphs who produce children but don't take care of children. And I think our ancients understood that not everybody has the maternal instinct. Not everybody has needs. And it's a shared responsibility. Why should the mother be, because her body is producing the child, doesn't mean she's somehow obliged to take care of the child only. The father has to take care. The family has to take care. Everybody has to take care. And I think this needs to be clarified because I think too much of responsibility is put on women. I think that's not fair. It's biology, right? A woman's body produces the baby. I mean, that's unfortunately or fortunately, that's the fact.
No, I mean, women, it's very fortunate if, a woman can have children if she wants to. But these societies do, in societies, the men also help women because they understand, especially in the educated part of the society. I'm sure in rural, it's all upon the women to do it. But, are you trying to say that it's okay if a woman does not look after her child? Today, in the modern world also, women are hiding behind the career. If they're not interested in taking care of the child, they're saying that, I'm I'm following a career and this will inspire my child, which I find it really funny.
So I'll tell you something interesting. It's in the rural area, the lady doesn't have to take care of the child. It's in the urban area that the parents have to take care of the child, because there used to be joint families. There used to be, there's someone to take care of the child, because there's so much work to be done. There is so much of farming work and housework to be done that junior daughter-in-law, the senior daughter-in-law, the mother-in-law, the grandmother-in-law, there are dozens of children, the children take care of each other. So really the mother is to, other than breastfeeding, which is a biological obligation, other than that, I don't think, I spoke once to a child and parent expert. And they were telling me that it doesn't really matter in smaller towns, smaller towns, in villages. Now it's changing, but in tribal societies and all that, the burden of motherhood was not so much as it is in the urban areas where you're living alone, where you have to do for, like, you're living in some suburb, you work in the town, you come by train, you leave the child with childcare, all that daycare centers, those things are very urban. They were not there in earlier times. And, I have gone, when I used to do NGO work in slum areas, the maids would leave their child in the without anybody. The child would just survive in the slum. So we don't realize how children, the things, not every of them is Siddhartha, where everybody has to take care of everything. Children know how to survive, and there are methods and there are some protective mechanisms out there to prevent danger from them falling off something, or God forbid something terrible happening. But there's always someone watching over them, that somebody's not, somebody's crying, just make sure the food is there. So societies function very differently. We think
that it's on the mother. Put on the
mother. The mother has to take care of it. It's really a group effort. And, God forbid if, sometimes there is maternal mortality at one time. Mothers would die. The child would survive, right? Somebody would take care of the child. So I think these are complex things. And I think we try to put everything on the mother and everything on the father. It doesn't work like that. The famous character Shakuntala in Hindu mythology, he's raised by a man called Kanvarishi. There's no mother. She's found in the forest floor. A man raises now men. So, or you have the story of Kripa and Kripi, and Shantanu, the king, finds them and he raises them. So in Vedic scriptures, the men take care of the children. Nobody even thinks about it. Nobody blinks an eyelid. But we tell this to our children, but we don't reinforce it to our children.
Absolutely. No.
We know these stories, but nobody pointed out, look, this girl is raised by her father. This man is raised by the father. Or the Apsara has gone away. And they're like, oh, that's true.
Interesting. Very, very, like, such an eye-opening, point that you've made, and it's all true. But our perspective is, kept only on the point that women is the one who's gonna bring up the child. Interesting. You've spoken about the middle path. In an age where we are told to be extreme to succeed, in Buddha's path of balance, actually the most radical thing a person can do today?
In every relationship, there is your point of view and the other person's point of view. And middle path is between the two. That is what I mean when I say the middle path. We are creating a generation, many of them are single children, so they only think of themselves. And then one day they get married and they're married to another single child. So you have two children who have never shared anything in their life getting married. And we wonder why the relationships are not working out, because they've never learned how to share. And because the parents indulge the son, the parent indulge the daughter, now the son and daughter get married and they're used to being indulged. They're saying, one narcissist has married the other narcissist, not realizing, and because parents didn't teach them that life is about sharing, shared responsibilities, looking at the other person's point of view. You can't say, I do you and you do, you do you and I do me. And this kind of thing doesn't work in a relationship. It works in your own spaces, but in the old days, the kings and queens had separate palaces. They lived in separate palaces, but they would come together. Right? They would have Raja ka kaksh hota hai, Rani ka kaksh hota hai. But, so they have their privacy, but they also have shared spaces. And I think what I mean by middle path is the shared spaces. Our buildings have shared common areas. Our house will be very different, but when we go out, there's something called civic sense. I was, 2 days ago at Oberoi's, and there was a bunch of girls loudly screaming at the pool, and people were getting annoyed. And when somebody asked them to just keep quiet, they said, but sir, it's a public space. And they were very defiant. And I just looked at it and said, there's something called civic sense. A public space. What is civic sense? And then I realized, I looked at them and I said, these are Gen Z kids. They have no sense of the other. civic sense does not, and they're educated. They come from privileged backgrounds, but they don't have civic sense. What's the point of going to the best schools and colleges when they're not polite and not sensitive to there are people in the pool area?
Yes.
So public space and private, and does this have to be taught?
It has to be seen and observed, and
it's just common sense, but it's just we have not we don't realize what happens when a family becomes nuclear. We don't realize what happens when you have a single child, that the things that a sibling would have given, a cousin would have given, a nephew would have given, a larger group would have given, because society is changing very rapidly, right? We are also traveling, people are working in different countries where they don't speak the same language. We have to mentally, at least now you have AI. AI can tell you, okay, I am in this country, I'm living, please give me some parental advice. I'm sure the AI will come up with some very nice solutions. So,
hello everyone. So today we have Devdutt with us, and he's here to answer all your questions. If you have read any of his books, today is the time. So type in and we'll try and cover it in our podcast. In Business Sutra, you have described the workplace either as a Ranbhumi or Rangabhumi. How can we make sure that, in our workplace, we don't turn it into a war, rather play without losing our competitive edge?
Well, honestly, we don't need to compete. I mean, I have worked 30 years in the corporate world, and I realize competition is the most overrated word in the world.
Okay.
A business is very simple. You give value to the customer gives you revenue. So you have to understand your customer deeply to understand what they need. You are in the luxury business, so you know that there is, what does it mean to be luxury? What does it mean to get this brand? And there is a need in the market. It really doesn't matter what the other products in the market are doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to write my mythology book because there is another writer writing on Ramayana. I'm not competing with anyone. I just know that people have a need to understand stories, they need to understand culture. New generation of young people are coming who don't have time to study culture. I will package it for them and give it to them. So the need is there, I'll provide it. And I have to, I don't need to compete with anyone to write. And I have to be true to myself. So I have to keep refining myself and improve myself so that I bring better quality stuff. I don't need to compare myself with some other writer. When somebody asked me, I said, I really don't care what others write. I want to make sure that my readers are happy. And it's like, when you talked about you reading my book, you never read my book and you're reading my book. And you're like, for me, that is joy. When you told me that, I said, I've done my work. I've done a good job. It's not that someone else's book and therefore you should read my book. So we have been conditioned, and this is the education system in the last 100 years, that everything has to be competitive. You need to compete with Pakistan and Bangladesh and China and America. Why? Look at what we do to our children. We stop them from having friends. Everybody's competing with everybody. And, I was just speaking to someone, a friend of mine, he's just starting his career. He says, I want an iPhone. I said, why? Because I know he wants to show off. I said, you can't afford it. And your parents can't give it to you. So you figure out what is important. You have X amount of budget. So I started talking to him and he was looking, oh, I'm so unlucky. I said, yes, you are unlucky. You're unlucky because you're foolish. Because you're comparing all the time. There'll always be people richer than you, powerful than you, always. Older than you, richer than you, smarter than you. Then you'll be always miserable.
Yeah.
Rather than focusing on what you have, you're not focusing on what you don't have. I said, I'll take you to a blind institute so that you sort of for a few moments realize that you have a screen that you can see and they can't. And then you'll realize how privileged you are.
Yeah.
Right? And that has nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank. They don't have eyes. You have eyes. So I think we are teaching. And this is a terrible thing because, we are constantly comparing children. We need to tell them you have to refine yourself. You have to keep improving. But if you know math, you have to be better. Today you got 100 out of 100. Maintain that thing. They don't need to see their friends' scorecards to be good at math or to be good in language or to be good at work or to be, clean your room. Not because your cousin cleans the room, but because cleaning is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And to organize things and, so those are important things. But I think somewhere along the line, we use competition to motivate people.
Yeah.
And in the process, turn people into these little, I've seen... it's very sad, but I see people in very positions of great power being so competitive. So I have fun with them.
You're people to play with.
Yeah, so in mythology, there's a character called Narad Muni.
Yes.
And he comes to your house and he keeps telling you that, oh, very nice house, your beautiful, beautiful upholstery, but your neighbor's upholstery is better. And so that's the game that you keep. And it's what Instagram does. It's what social media does. It's constantly telling you your rank, your position, Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
You're not that. Are you the top 10 rich people in the world? And I know people who get very upset who were in the ninth richest people, and now they've become, they're out of the top 10 list. And so the whole year goes different. They come to office and they make their lives miserable of people.
Yeah.
And they're zillions and zillions of dollars, but they're unhappy.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, just get some.
What's the point?
Yeah, eat a high calorie meal and be happy today.
So are you saying that, my parents have always told me that you should always look down, people who are below you, and you should not look up because that will make you sad. But, over time, I think that if I only look down, I won't have any motivation to do better. So what's your
So what happens is Hindu gods do uddhar. It's about uplifting people. You look down not to feel better about yourself.
Okay.
You look down to help people, to help pull them up.
Okay.
We are too busy climbing to help other people. We are on rock climbing alone on Mount Everest where nobody's there to greet you.
Right.
And that's the tragedy of life. You're climbing a mountain and nobody cares. And I sometimes have to tell people, you know what? It doesn't. If you get 100 out of 100 in maths, it's because you have done well.
Okay.
It doesn't, the claps don't matter. Nobody cares whether you got 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if you got the PhD. Nobody cares if you get the Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
Somebody did eye surgery and he did this fabulous eye surgery at 10 o'clock in the morning. And at 2 o'clock he goes home. The people on the road don't know he has done this great eye surgery, which has perhaps path-breaking. Nobody knows, nobody cares. We give ourselves, we tell the story to ourselves that we matter and we have a report card in this world and somebody's going to measure us. Nobody's measuring you. Nobody cares. So calm down.
Yeah.
Just pay your bills and be happy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing which really matters is, are you paying your bill?
Right.
Udhari pe जी रहे हो तो वो थोड़ा dangerous है.
No,
But if you're paying your bills, I think because we have nothing else to do. We are bored.
Yeah.
तो अभी क्या करें? तो चलो compete करते हैं. So it's like video games. You're constant. It's called gamification of life.
Right.
You've gamified your life for no reason.
But this concept is not new. It's always been there, no?
It's always been there. What is Buddha doing? Is he competing? No, he's just sitting down and thinking.
Yeah.
He's sitting under a tree. People say, what a lazy man. No, he needs food. So there's a Sujata who gives him food, right? Somebody cooked the food for him.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it. I keep saying the Buddha, to become the Buddha, he needed a Sujata to give him food. Someone has to cook food. Wo chawal, wo doodh, it doesn't materialize out of nothing.
Yeah.
Somebody had to do the labor so that he was still a prince.
I didn't know about that. I just thought that he lived without food and he survived.
No, he fainted. There's a very famous story of him fainting and drowning, and then the tree comes and holds out, and then finally realizes, that's when he realizes the middle path that you can't fast to death. Okay. Somebody has to feed you. And that he realizes that the body needs nourishment and protection and clothes and hygiene and all those things matter. So these are things that, the Akshay Tritiya in Jains, this Akshay Tritiya is very important because the sage on that day, after 1 year of fasting, takes one cup of sugarcane juice. Ikshu se Akshay aata hai, really. There's a different story, but the sugarcane juice is given to him. But someone has to grow the sugarcane, someone has to crush the sugarcane, someone has to put it in a pot, somebody has to make a pot and give it to him. So that entire process happens. We forget about these things.
Right.
People study economics, but don't see the simple things in the house. I asked people, so you study physics? I said, yes. I said, tell me the physics, let's go into the kitchen and figure out physics. And then they know nothing because they think physics happens in some laboratory or nuclear laboratory. I said, there's chemistry in your kitchen, there's biology in your kitchen, everything happens in the house. But the small things in life we forget.
I think the education system or the society has made us, including myself, very our thoughts very boxed in, and I think that talking to you just makes me feel that you should think outside.
Always.
And relate to things that's not.
When I go, I met people who go to Paris for holidays and they're not interested in doing anything other than shopping.
Yeah.
So I said, you could sit at home and order everything.
Yeah.
Why do you have to even go to Paris?
No, so they could talk about that with their friends. Yeah.
So now because that's become the competitive thing, right? I went by. So I say, I always say, I said, I want to make you feel miserable. I'll ask you, which hotel did you stay in? Oh, that one. Oh, you brought, what is it called? Hermes. but with the label or without the label?
Right.
Because there is a level,
Always a-
there is a Hermes bag. There are certain bags which can be only bought if you are in the waiting line. There are some people who don't have to wait. So you are always below somewhere. That's how they create luxury brands. I mean,
Yes.
you know how it works.
Capacity, yeah.
And that's the fun of it.
Yes.
So either you can play the game, enjoy. The middle path is to know the game, enjoy it, and also be okay the opposite of
Not
stepping away from it.
Right.
Saying that, okay, on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, I'll play the game, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I won't play the game.
Only we had so much control. Now, a popular interest topic, which is on internet and everybody's talking about, is the Durga. You've described Durga as a rush of power. You know, why does professional validation feel so good in the moment when you've achieved something, but after a point you feel lonely and it doesn't matter?
So animals don't seek validation.
Okay.
How many animals are there in this world? Millions and millions of animals.
Right.
No plant seeks validation.
Right.
Human beings have imagination, and we can imagine a world without us. And we realize the world without us functions perfectly fine.
Right.
And that makes us feel miserable.
Okay.
Imagine telling the richest man in the world or the most powerful man in the world that, if you disappear, nothing's going to change. It's a very depressing feeling. Imagine telling Elon Musk, sir, if you disappear, nothing will change. Because we are all told that we have to change the world, we have to solve the problems. Problems will continue. Just because you have discovered a great probiotic doesn't mean the constipation and diarrhea will stop in the next generation. The babies will still have all kinds of, they have to be potty trained.
Yeah.
Every child has to. You can't say that, oh, now I have artificial intelligence and I am a genius, so my child will come out potty trained. It's not going to happen. Right? Nobody can happen. And we are all terrified of old age, right?
Yeah.
We are all terrified that we all will have some. We don't know what those problems are.
Yeah.
We can't predict those problems.
Yeah.
And I think that terror is there. That's why we need the rush of power. We need people to say how wonderful we are, how great we are, how lovely we are. And in that we fool ourselves. Indians are particularly prone to this. We'll have to say, Hum Bharat Mahan hai. And I'm like, in some places, yes. In some places, no. And you have to understand the difference between the two things, because otherwise you won't grow in life. Because, it's like a good doctor will tell you that these health parameters are good and these health parameters are bad. And you have to work on these things. So I think that's something we need to feel important. Children need it, but you have to balance it out. That's the middle path where you understand that, yes, today I'm feeling down, so I need to be motivated. But when I'm up, I should remind myself that I can go down. And that is important. That balancing is important, which we forget. That we are always constantly seeking motivation, but we're not teaching resilience. Motivation and resilience, there are motivational speeches, but not resilience speeches.
Correct.
How do you deal when things don't work out? How do you deal when your phone is not there? Imagine Wi-Fi not there. And then how will you survive for 3 days without Wi-Fi? The worst thing on earth.
Yeah.
Imagine.
No, I mean, the Bible. No, absolutely right. Our life is I think today we're either motivated or depressed.
Yeah.
So there's nothing in between. If you're not feeling high, you are depressed and the life is not worth living. So this is really interesting to know that, okay, if you're feeling motivated, that's the time you tell yourself, it might be low tomorrow, so it's okay.
And what am I doing to prepare for it?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing to prepare for it? Is that tomorrow things may not work out. So what do I do on that day?
Right.
Today things have worked out perfectly. Everything went off well. Tomorrow it may not work out.
Right.
Will I just go collapse?
Yeah.
Because then there's always anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Your anxiety about being perfect, and at the state of perfection, you're also maintaining that thing.
Right.
I think these are philosophies which are stories, whether you read Ramayana and Mahabharata, all these stories, all the fairy tales will tell you about these things.
Okay.
If you read the stories carefully, listen to the stories carefully, they'll always tell you that our heroes have to go through terrible things. Even gods can't stop wars. Krishna also cannot play the flute all the time. And, I always tell people that Krishna came from a wrestling family and nobody talks about his wrestling. Stories of Krishna are all about him wrestling. Yeah. But now nobody remembers him. They only remember him as a musician or a charioteer, but nobody remembers him as a wrestler. Now, he should be depressed, not that, I'm such a great wrestler, but nobody remembers it. But he doesn't. Yeah. So I think life is about realizing these things.
Right.
And I think we should prepare people for this. And that's what stories do.
Yeah.
That is my stories.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lakshman Rekha is another such story everybody is aware of. Is it that line or a symbol of safety? Or is it a mythological warning about the invisible boundaries society draw?
Ask yourself, Lakshman Rekha is for Ravan or for Sita?
For Sita.
Think again.
I mean, that's what I think of it, and I'm sure
That's how it's sold, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's sold.
Right.
You have locks on the door for yourself or to prevent the thief from entering in. They're saying, this is my house.
Yeah. So for me to be safe, so that's how I apply it.
So we assume that the rules of society are designed to protect us. We don't think of rules of society are meant to protect others.
Okay.
And therefore, when there's a traffic light out there, you stop at the traffic signal so that others can go.
Okay.
Not because you will meet with an accident.
Okay.
So all rules are designed for whom? Whose security? You are the Ravan. And therefore somebody says boundaries. I have boundaries at work. I have boundaries in relationships. I have boundaries at professional spaces. I have boundaries even with my husband or my daughter or my son. What is boundary? Boundaries, Lakshman Rekha, that please respect my space. And people don't respect the space. So when you say Lakshman Rekha, the story of Ramayana talks about consent for men and women. Surpanakha goes and says, I want to
marry you.
And is telling Ram, and Ram's consent matters, right? But everybody says, no, man's consent matters, woman's consent matters. But when you are told the Ramayana, how many people talk about man's consent? They only talk about women's consent.
Right.
But the story, imagine a 2,000-year-old story has talked about consent.
Right.
And I want to explain consent to children.
Right.
I can tell the story, right? There was a man who didn't want to have sex with this lady, and there was this woman who didn't have to have sex with this man. She didn't even want to go with him, and he just picks her up and goes away.
Right.
And I'm like, see, there's consent. What is consent? This is consent. So Ramayana is a tale of consent.
Right.
So Lakshman Rekha is a story of consent.
Consent.
Space, safe space, boundaries.
Right.
All those modern words which we think were discovered in the 21st century are very old words. It's just that he never read them.
No, true. Not in this way or this perspective. Coming to Sita, when she came back to Ram, she had to do the Agni Pariksha.
Yes.
How do you relate that to the modern times today?
So I'm always asked this question by, when I give lectures to a lot of young ladies, they'll say, but she was innocent.
Yeah.
And I look at them and said, if a girl is not innocent, is it okay to throw her out?
No, maybe not.
Think about and then the people go quiet.
Yeah.
Because look, we have normalized telling that, oh, she has bad character, therefore throw her out.
Right. Yeah.
And that is cruelty.
Yeah.
And that tells you about human society. Point is, it's not about right and wrong. The point is, do you have the largeness in your heart to accommodate people?
Right.
The people of Ayodhya didn't. They want to gossip. We love gossips. We love to gossip about people. Breaking news. Is Sita pure or impure? That's what is happening. That's what we enjoy, right? Look at all our uncles and aunties and grandparents are watching all these news. We're just constantly judging.
Right.
We're judging people.
Absolutely.
And we are judging. And therefore thousands and thousands of Sitas are being kicked out of their house.
Right. Are you saying that you support polygamy?
I don't judge anything. If people are okay with what they want to do, let them do what they want to do. But each action has a consequence. Every action has consequences. Ram kills Ravan. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm confused, honestly. But Ravan is supposed to be the bad guy. So when Ram kills him, he did a good thing. So we celebrate Ram because he...
But now think about it. His wife, Ravan's wife, has become a widow. And she curses Ram saying that, you know what, you killed my husband, so you'll never have a happy married life.
Okay.
So you can do a good thing and be cursed for it.
Okay.
And that's what Indian scriptures teach you.
Okay.
Look at the way we're taught to hate Pakistan and Bangladesh. And I'm like, be careful of what you're asking because in a war, both sides get hurt.
Yeah, true.
And that's what the Ramayana is teaching us.
Okay.
That hatred has consequences. Anger has consequences.
Interesting.
Polygamy has consequences. Polyandry has consequences. Everything has consequences.
Okay. Okay.
So you should decide which consequence you're willing to take.
Okay. Or the best thing is to live and accommodate other people as they are.
And see how much you can, your resilience, your ability to handle. Will you allow people to walk all over you?
Yeah.
Or will you just say no, Lakshman Rekha? So everything has a space. Everything has a space. And I don't know you, you don't know me. We all have different capacities and capabilities.
Yeah.
And if you recognize that, you learn. I recently learned of a friend's father, and they discovered that he was doing all kinds of nefarious activities on his phone. And after he passed away, the mother found out. And obviously, it was a scandal. And I said, he's gone. Can you just calm down? He was a human being and he was lonely and he did things which are embarrassing. So what to do? He's gone. And of course, the lady felt violated and angry and upset and all that. I said, you need therapy now. What to do now? There's nothing else you can do. But why are you judging him? Was he a nice person? Did he treat you badly? What was your relationship like? What's your memories like? And she said, no, it was decent. We had a good time. We had a decent relationship. And no bad ups and downs, but it was okay. And I asked, ma'am, can I see your phone? Are you telling me your phone doesn't have? And she said, no, I have. Like, she got very upset that I said, see, I don't know you at all. Why should I assume innocence on your side? And that's when it so I said, kindness is a good thing. And kindness really works in difficult situations. Everybody can be afford to be kind in a good, when everything is going well for you, you can be generous.
This is such an important point.
Right? When things are going bad for you, can you be generous?
Right. Exactly.
When you're good, sab theek chal raha hai, even then people find it difficult to be generous.
Yeah.
Right? We know that.
Yes.
We have met around us. We see that you don't need to be rude.
Yeah.
Are you being rude to the doorman or to the driver? It's very embarrassing. You know how we live in these circles, right? We all know it.
Yeah.
We also perhaps have been accused of doing that unknowingly or knowingly. But I think this is things that we forget. And stories help us see it, explore it without participating in it. So stories, all these stories, whether it's Ramayana and Mahabharata, they're not entertainment. They are gossip sessions. They help you gossip about the gods, about demons. You can say gods are good or bad and angels are good or bad. You gossip about them, but really you're gossiping about yourself.
Okay.
And that's what it is. It's a self-gossip session.
Okay. And then you analyze it, right? That's the most important part, to pick which side you choose.
So, that day somebody told me that, I think in North India, are you North Indian?
I'm from Rajasthan.
Yeah. So you must have heard of this Ghar Ka Bedi. So they'll say Vibhishan is disloyal. So I say, okay, Vibhishan says my brother has done something wrong. He can't treat a woman the way he's treating. He's taking a principle stand and he's fighting against the family. So do you value a person with principles or do you value a person with loyalty? Who would you want to?
Principle, I think.
Think about it. And then you realize how complex it is because your siblings one day may walk away from you on principle and you'll say, but you're not loyal to me, you're my brother. And that character Vibhishan teaches us so much because he chooses Ram over Ravan and society looks down upon him. Here we are talking about Ram Rajya. But this same society which seems to worship Ram looks down on Vibhishan because he goes to Ram and rejects Ravan. They'll say, no, you're disloyal. Think about it.
Right.
Such a simple thing. Every person today who talks about Ram Rajya is also the person who abuses Vibhishan.
Right. No, absolutely. Wow. Okay, in your book, My Gita, you've mentioned there is no the Gita, only My Gita.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
So the definitive article does not exist in Indian languages or Chinese for that matter. It's only an English word.
Okay.
The Gita.
Okay.
India does not have this word. There is no definitive.
Okay.
What Krishna says and what you hear is not the same thing.
Yeah.
But everybody thinks that they know the truth of what Krishna said. I said, oh wow, you really do? Because it's amazing when a Guruji says that, Krishna ne ye kaha. I said, aapko kaise pata?
आपके हिसाब से ये कहा है?
आपके हिसाब से कहा है ना? Because we all are reading it through a lens.
Yeah.
And so, I know Sanskrit. I said, but Sanskrit words are extremely complex. The same word can have 7,000 meanings. Depending on how, I can ask ChatGPT. It remembers things better, and Claude will give me a different explanation, and Perplexity will give me a different explanation. ChatGPT will give different explanation, and therefore, and the Guruji will give a different explanation, and vegetarians will find vegetarianism in it, and caste will find caste in it. So there is no one Gita. I have not found a single person who says there's no one Bible, there's no one Quran.
Interesting.
No holy books in this world have one single version, and that's why people are fighting all over each other because my version is better than your version, and usually the bully wins. So the winner is usually the bully.
Yeah.
Not the wisest man.
Ah, true.
The wisest man will keep quiet. He just say, "Chhod."
So is it good to be a bully or be a wise?
Well, if you're insecure, then you have to be a bully.
Ah, interesting.
All insecure people are bullies.
Right.
Secure people are never bullies.
Right.
They let you bully them.
Yeah.
They don't mind being bullied.
Yeah, it's okay. They're not attached to
They are not attached. They don't need your validation.
Yeah.
They don't need to feel superior. They are happy with themselves. ठीक है भैया.
Huh.
You want to bully me? Good for you.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Whenever I see bullies children, they come from unhappy families. Or they have psychological issues.
Yeah.
They have come from good families, but
Yeah.
the child has some
Trauma.
in this thing.
Yeah.
And it's very sad because he's traumatizing everybody around him, and the children around, they don't know how to deal with this whole situation, and parents don't know how to. And that's the world we live in. So
Yeah. You've called Krishna the perfect man because he's also embraced his femininity. How important is it for us to embrace both sides of our gender in ourselves?
gender is a way of looking at the other.
Okay.
Right. So it's not about gender as in sexual gender. It's about others. So as a man, I never know what a woman feels. Right. I wrote a book called The Pregnant King, which is based on a Mahabharata story about a king who becomes pregnant. And when I was writing it, I realized I didn't know how to write about menstruation because I've never experienced it. I didn't know what it feels to be. So I went to my sister and she was very embarrassed. How can you talk to me like that? I said, but listen, I'm writing. I need to know how does a woman feel? So I had to interview her and she was so embarrassed. I said, no, you tell me, and sing. And then after you had a baby, how it was. And I could see her awkwardness, but this also produced empathy in me. I could understand what it meant. And that's what embracing the other side is. Krishna is able to do it because he's divine. He's able to empathize with what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a mother, what it means. And I think that idea of able to empathizing with other people is one thing that we are missing in our society today. That's why we're such a cruel society.
Yes.
But if you have empathy, you can be a great businessman, you can be a great boss, you can be a great subordinate, you can be a great service provider, you can be a follower. I think empathy is a very important quality that needs to be. And that is what Purushottama means. Purusha, by the way, doesn't mean man. It means person, personhood. So Prakriti and Purusha. So personhood, what makes you a person? And that the highest level is a person who can see the others and realize is part of an ecosystem.
Okay.
That's really the meaning of the word Advaita. Okay. Not two. There are no two. The whole world is part of an ecosystem. No tree can exist in isolation. Every tree depends on thousands of other trees to exist for it to exist. This awareness is Advaita. That's all it is. Nothing very complicated. It's ecological. But we make it sound like, oh my God, Guruji told me this. No, it's not that complicated.
When you understand a concept and you can explain it simply, that's when you've truly understood it. So thank you. That's easy to understand. In Jaya, you've shown that the good guys, the Pandavas, the good guys, they have also cheated. Is it important for us to believe that in our life, the good guys also cheat and the villains are not always the bad guys?
See, the idea that cheating is good or bad comes from societies which are based on rules.
Okay.
Right? In nature, there are no rules.
Right.
So no animal cheats.
Yeah.
Cheating is a concept that happens only when you have rules. So that's something. So Krishna breaks rules and Ram doesn't break rules. The point is not that. Do you create happiness around you? That is important.
Okay.
And think about it. If we followed the international rules, then Indians wouldn't get medicine. Because all the companies which made drugs made them so expensive that no poor person could afford it. So India as a country broke the rules and said we will steal and make drugs available to everybody in our country. No, we broke the rules.
Right.
Openly, very openly. Nehru did it. Most of our Indian companies did it. It's a very famous thing. We decided to not follow the patent. And the whole Western world looked at us as, you're thieves. Then they said, excuse me, we are poor people. Your rules, my population will die. So why do we break rules is important more than following rules. Why are rules there in the first place? Rules exist to help the weak. Rules are broken to help the weak. So it's called rule of the law and by the law.
Okay.
So when you have rule of the law, it's a rule of the law. We all follow it. the powerful and the powerless. But when rules are used to control the powerless, it is ruled by the law. And that is what we call corruption. That is what we call Kali Yuga, where the rules are misused by the powerful to abuse. So how a taxation system is used, how, so tax is a good thing, right? Because we give to the society and society will help out. But we all know the mischief that is happening around it. That means you're using the rule by the law. Mahabharata is the story of kings who rule by the law.
Right.
So Krishna says, I will not obey the law.
Yeah.
And Ramayana is the story of a man who rule off the law.
Okay.
So following the rules is very good. So these little details, imagine 2000 years ago, Ramayana and Mahabharata is explaining these complex ideas. So it's not about cheating. It's about, please understand why rules exist. Rules exist to help the weak. That's why you have traffic light, right? Why do you have a traffic light? You have a traffic light because then everybody can, it helps everybody. Otherwise, jiski lathi, uski khet, the biggest car will just go and ram. And that's what politicians do. When they come, the traffic lights stop.
Yeah.
So the powerful abuses the system to feel powerful, and you are all feeling helpless. Maybe you have to go to the hospital. You are told, no. The minister is coming. And you're like, hello, my child is ill.
Yeah.
Emergency. So these games are played. And that is what, when the king doesn't follow the rule, society collapses. So Ramayana is all about rule following. Ram is the king. He says, I have to follow the rule. I know this is wrong. I know my wife is innocent. But the rules, unfortunately, are like this.
Right.
And therefore, my own children will be raised in the forest. I know it is completely unjust, but the rules. I'm the king. If I break the rule, everybody will break the rule.
Right.
But in Mahabharata, the king says, I'm the king. Yeah. I can do whatever I want.
So interesting. Can't believe, so old, but so relevant still. Now coming to goddess Lakshmi, in 7 Secrets of Lakshmi, say wealth is fickle. Do you think it is important to keep exchanging the wealth in terms of energy?
So I don't use the word. It's just simple thing that we all know that a value of a thing increases. It's an economic principle. The more it rotates, right? When paisa jab rotate hota hai, to uska value badhta hai. So that's a simple thing. And that's what money has the capability of. It's not a zero-sum game. The same money can be used in different ways. That's what economics is. And that's what Lakshmi is about. She's saying, if you have gold in the house, it's useless. But gold invested in the market is useful because credit has been extended.
Right.
It's a simple banking principle.
Right.
So Lakshmi is saying, mujhe credit mein dal do. Otherwise, if I don't move, then what is the use of money? So when people tell me the Padmanabhaswamy temple has 7 billion, I'm like, it's useless. It's in the gold sitting inside. Encash it. Turn it into asset, turn it into this thing, repay your debt. If money doesn't move, ask any baniya in the world. He'll say, paise to move karna chahiye.
Right.
And that's what Lakshmi is saying. That, don't lock me up, main sar jaungi and then I'll make your life miserable.
Yeah.
So money has to keep moving. And that's what the scriptures are saying. That money has to move.
Yeah. For you, which is your most favorite mythological character and why?
Well, every character has its role. So depending on my mood, when I don't have money, then Lakshmi is most important. When I'm feeling insecure, then Durga is most important. When I'm curious, then Saraswati becomes important. So I think when I'm feeling restless, then Ganesha is good because he teaches you about contentment. So I think every god has a value depending on your state of mind, and things keep, when you're measuring things, when people are comparing, I remember Narad Muni suddenly, so my names, all the gods keep appearing. When people are talking, I can see the gods appearing around me.
Really?
It's great fun.
Which god are you seeing?
So right now, the god of communications.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Is there any question that you think I should have asked you, but I have not?
I think we've covered a great deal of things. We've talked about money, we've talked about Ramayana, Mahabharata, we've talked about gods. I think we've covered everything. Thank you.
I read your book, The Flower of India, recently. I think that's your latest book. Yeah. And you have really opened the lotus flower in all its forms and manner. The most intriguing one was the 7 chakras, because I've seen the 7 chakras, I've studied about it, but never looked at the number of petals each chakra has. And, the top chakra has thousands of petals. So can you tell us, the relevance of lotus in the human chakras?
So the lotus flower in India is a very, very important symbol. And the idea is, it's a metaphor again. It means that tum ek cheez of seed will become 2 petals and 4 petals and 8 petals and 16 petals and 256. You keep multiplying mathematically. And what it's basically saying is how you're evolving over time and space. And that's what the chakras are all about. The lowermost chakra is a Muladhara chakra, but basically it's in your anal region. It is your deepest, most awkward, difficult secrets. And the Sahasrara chakra, which is right on top, is the best part of you. So we move from this frightened space to the most, enlightened spaces. And I think that's like a tree growing and bearing fruits. And when you produce fruits for others to eat, and your branches are big out there, so the trees and, think of yourself as a tree. We all begin our life as a seed, and we grow. We are in nurseries, and then we put in forests and gardens, and we emerge and we transform. And how we become the best version of ourselves, as we said. And the best version is when others can eat the fruits and flowers that we produce. And when we die, our wood is used to make furniture.
Wow. So interesting. So interesting. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed our chat, and we want to do a massive giveaway. If you have any request for a book, you can also mention that. But today we're going to have Devdutt sign some of his books, so we can send you his books. Just DM us your address, and keep watching. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
coming on the podcast.
Thank you for calling.